Okay, so you've handed us quite a stack of sources here, and they dive deep into something we all experience, relationships.
Hmm.
But not just the easy, comfortable side of things. These sources seem to focus on relationships as, well, powerful grounds for personal growth, sometimes uncomfortable growth.
Exactly. Yeah, the core idea, and it might sound a bit startling at first, is that the people in your life often function like profound mirrors.
Mirrors.
Yeah, showing you aspects of yourself you might not normally see, your own balance, or maybe more often, your imbalances, things you might even prefer not to look at.
And there's this other concept woven through here, duality. It sounds like the people who challenge us most, the ones who, really push our buttons.
Hmm.
According to these sources, they aren't just random annoyances. They might actually be offering the biggest lessons.
Right. It suggests this whole dynamic of, being drawn to people reflecting qualities you admire, but also being really affected, sometimes negatively, by people embodying traits you judge or even fear in yourself that's not accidental.
So it's like part of the design for growth.
That's how it's presented here, yeah, a fundamental design for growth.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive then, using the sources you provided, is to really unpack this. How the people around you reflect you, how this duality thing works, and I guess crucially, how understanding this might actually transform your connections.
And accelerate your own personal growth in the process. Let's jump in.
Great. Where do we start? That mirror concept.
Right. Let's start there. Relationships as mirrors. The sources really emphasize that our interactions with others, they're arguably the most fertile ground we have.
Fertile ground. For what?
Well, for both our greatest joys, sure, but
Yeah.
also for learning our most profound and, yeah, sometimes most difficult lessons.
This mirror idea, it's not just like a metaphor.
It's presented as quite literal in this context, meaning when you're interacting with someone, their behavior, their qualities, your reaction to them, it's all providing a pretty clear reflection of what's going on inside you right then, in that moment. Are you balanced? Or are you reacting from, an internal imbalance?
Okay, I think I'm following. So my reaction says more about me than them, potentially.
That's precisely the idea. And this ties straight into that concept of duality we mentioned.
Right.
It's totally natural to gravitate towards people who seem to embody positive qualities we like or aspire to, but then inevitably you run into people whose traits just rub you the wrong way.
Or behaviors you really judge or feel challenged by.
Exactly. And the sources link this to something specific, Dr. DeMartini's universal law of opposites.
Okay, Dr. DeMartini's law of opposites. Before we apply it to people, what is that, basically?
Well, at its core, it suggests that everything in the universe exists in a kind of inherent balance. Every force has an equal and opposite counterforce.
It's like physics.
Sort of, yeah. Or think magnetism, positive and negative poles. Every quality has an equal and opposite counterquality. Nothing exists in isolation without its opposite.
Okay, everything has its opposite, its balance. How does that connect to the people we meet?
Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting for relationships. According to this view, every single person you encounter, especially the ones who trigger a strong emotional response in you, whether that's intense admiration or, intense frustration, that person is reflecting back an aspect of your own inner world, or maybe highlighting an area where your own values or perceptions are kind of one-sided, out of balance.
So hang on. If I really admire someone, like put them on a pedestal,
Yeah.
am I only seeing their good side, without recognizing that those same qualities must have some kind of downside too?
That's exactly the one-sided perception this perspective points out. When you idealize someone, you're laser focused on the perceived positives, the virtues,
Right.
and you become effectively blind to the inherent drawbacks or challenges that inevitably come paired with those very same traits.
And the flip side, if I really dislike someone or judge them harshly,
Then you're seeing only the perceived negative, the flaw, without acknowledging its equal and opposite benefit or balancing quality.
so the sources are saying that what I see as a flaw in someone else isn't just objectively bad. It's balanced by something positive in that same person.
Yes, exactly. Think about it. Someone you see as, say, too rigid.
Okay.
From a more balanced perspective, couldn't that same person also be incredibly reliable or consistent, disciplined?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Or someone I find too chaotic.
Right. Maybe they're also highly spontaneous or creative or really adaptable when things change unexpectedly.
Okay.
The judgment you're placing, the sources argue, often isn't the full picture of that person. It's more likely a projection of your own one-sided view.
A reflection of my own trouble seeing the balance in them, and maybe in myself, too.
That's the implication. It really does make you think about that old saying, doesn't it? When you point a finger, there are three pointing back at you.
Yeah. Wow. So relationships, seen this way, they really are our toughest teachers.
Finest, most challenging teachers, absolutely. Which naturally leads to the next question. What do we do with this understanding? How do we apply it?
Right.
The sources talk about applying these principles as a kind of cosmic alchemy.
Cosmic alchemy. I like that. Sounds transformative.
It implies transformation, exactly. It's suggesting a process that can help dissolve those intense emotional charges, the anger, the resentment, the infatuation, even that fuel conflict and create separation.
So the path towards, I don't know, maybe unconditional love or just less judgment. It isn't about just ignoring bad behavior or pretending everything's okay.
Not at all. It's not about blind acceptance. It's about actively, consciously, diligently seeking the equal and opposite, finding the benefits that balance the drawbacks and the drawbacks that balance the benefits in every person, every interaction.
Especially the triggering ones.
Especially the triggering ones. And again, this isn't about condoning harmful actions. It's about cultivating a much deeper understanding.
And understanding that each person, in their own unique way, serves a purpose and embodies some kind of balanced truth, even if I only see one side initially.
That's the idea. It's about striving to see, as one source puts it, the perfection in perceived imperfections.
Okay. Like recognizing that the very thing my partner does that drives me nuts might actually be balancing out something in me or providing the friction we both need to grow.
Precisely. Those people who know exactly how to push your buttons.
We all have them.
They're often your most significant teachers, according to this view. They're shining a big spotlight on unintegrated parts of yourself, blind spots you have, or areas where your values are being challenged and maybe need to evolve.
Wow. Thinking about relationships like that, not just connections, but as like sacred spaces for self-discovery and mutual evolution. That's a huge shift.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the sources propose that by consciously embracing this duality, by doing the work to dissolve judgments and see the inherent balance, you can cultivate truly authentic love, deeper compassion, a genuine sense of unity, even with people you struggle with.
So the goal isn't to fight the reflections anymore.
It's to learn to dance with them, to transform those potentially painful interactions into, well, potent opportunities for wisdom and connection.
That sounds amazing and incredibly challenging, I imagine.
It definitely takes practice, conscious effort.
And helpfully, the sources actually provide a tool for this, a practical exercise they call the relationship alchemist.
Right. This exercise is designed to take these ideas from, theory on a page into something you can actually experience in your life.
Okay, how does it work?
It starts simply. You choose one significant relationship. Could be anyone, family, friend, colleague, partner.
Someone where there's a challenge or a strong emotional charge.
Exactly. Someone who is perhaps really pushing those buttons we were talking about.
Got it. Pick one relationship. Step one of the alchemy.
Step 1. Identify the challenge. From your perspective, you list, say, at least 3 to 5 specific behaviors or qualities of this person that trigger a negative response or judgment in you.
Be specific, huh? Like, not just they're annoying, but what specifically is annoying.
Precisely. What do they do or say? What quality triggers you? These are your perceived negatives.
Okay. List the things that bother me. That part might feel a bit too easy sometimes.
Maybe. But the next step is where the real alchemy happens.
Which is?
Seek the hidden benefits. For each of those negatives you just listed, you have to diligently, consciously look for the upside. Find at least one equal and opposite benefit or support that this very quality brings, or consider how it might serve some higher purpose, maybe for you, maybe for them, maybe in the bigger picture.
Okay, so digging for the silver lining in the negative, like someone is too critical. The benefit might be, well, they push me to be more precise, or they actually help me see where I can improve.
Exactly. Or if someone seems too needy, perhaps the benefit is this situation teaches me compassion, or maybe it highlights my own need to establish clearer boundaries.
Okay, So it forces you to find the balance.
It does. And the sources stress really dig deep here. Don't just grab the first easy answer that comes to mind. Work at it until you can genuinely feel some neutrality or maybe even appreciation for that quality you initially labeled negative.
Right. Finding the balance you were blind to before. That definitely sounds like the core of it. Okay, benefits for the negatives. What's next?
Next, you flip it. You list the perceived positives of the same person.
Okay.
Identify at least 3 to 5 attributes or actions that you genuinely admire, appreciate, or benefit from in this relationship. The good stuff.
Listing the good stuff. Easy enough. And let me guess, based on the law of opposites, we then have to find the downside of the good stuff.
You got it. Step 4 is seek the hidden drawbacks. For each positive you listed, find at least one equal and opposite drawback or challenge that comes along with it.
Okay, give me an example. If someone is, say, always supportive,
Right. Seems purely positive.
what's the drawback? Maybe I rely on them too much.
Right.
Or because they're always there, I haven't developed my own resilience as much as I could have.
Perfect. Or if someone is very generous, a great quality, right?
Sure.
But maybe the drawback is they sometimes enable people who should be helping themselves. Or perhaps they might neglect their own needs because they're always giving to others.
Okay, so it's about seeing the whole picture again.
Yeah.
The inherent balance within qualities we just label good or bad.
Exactly. Completing the picture, seeing both sides.
And the final step in this, alchemy.
The final step is to reflect on unity. You step back and consider how going through this process, finding benefits and negatives, drawbacks and positives, how has it shifted your perception of this person and this relationship?
Can I see them more? Completely now, more holistically.
Yeah, with maybe less intense judgment. Does it open the door even a crack towards more understanding, maybe even unconditional love?
And thinking about how that changed view might actually transform the connection itself going forward.
Exactly. How could seeing them in this more balanced, integrated way change how you interact, how you feel?
So the whole exercise, it's a structured way to consciously apply these ideas, duality, balanced directly to a real relationship, with the goal of fostering deeper understanding, compassion, and maybe even that unconditional love. It's like actively practicing being a relationship alchemist.
That's a great way to put it. It's a powerful practice offered in these sources, for sure.
Wow. This has been a really insightful deep dive, looking at relationships through this specific lens.
Yeah.
Not just as connections, but as these incredibly powerful mirrors, reflecting our inner world, offering lessons through this principle of duality.
And I think the sort of overarching takeaway from all this material is that shifting your perception is key.
How so?
Well, consciously choosing to look for and see the inherent balance in other people, and crucially recognizing that what you see in them is often reflecting something back to you about yourself. That shift in perception is presented as a really potent way to dissolve conflict, move beyond judgment, and actually foster genuinely deeper, more authentic connections.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe here's a thought for you, the listener, to sit with, drawn straight from the principles we've talked about.
Yeah.
Take a moment. Think about a relationship in your own life that feels, let's say, particularly challenging right now. Now, based only on the ideas we explored from these sources, the mirrors, the duality, the balance of opposites, just consider what specific qualities or behaviors in that person might be reflecting something back to you about yourself. What might that person be teaching you, maybe unconsciously, about your own values, your own imbalances, or perhaps the very next step on your own path for growth?
What mirror are they holding up just for you?